Here we go, man. Live. Happy Monday, Damon. What an amazing weekend. It's like football crazy. Wow. All right. So for our friends in LA, congratulations. They are off to the Super Bowl. But more importantly, let's talk about our dear friends in the Buckeye State, the great state of Ohio.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals are off to the Super Bowl. Damon, I want to introduce. Oh, by the way, what a coincidence. Let me introduce you to my friend, Michelle Jones, who happens to be in, well, maybe not this minute, but she's from the great state of Ohio. Michelle, happy Monday. How are you?
Thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon from wherever you are. I'm great. I'm doing great.
Awesome.
Yeah, go Buckeyes, go Ohio. Unfortunately, I live a little closer to Cleveland, so I'm more of a Browns
You're
fan.
more of a Browns. That's what I figured. I figured you're probably Browns. But, for our friends down in Southwest Ohio, God bless them. We're super excited. Joe Burrow, man, what is up with Joe Burrow? So anyway,
that was an amazing game. Both the games were really amazing.
Football. We are here to talk about manufacturing with Michelle. Yep. Now, Michelle, man, we have so much to cover in such a short period of time. I'm going to kick off things. You had a little exciting news a few months ago, I believe maybe October-ish. Why don't you tell everybody? I noticed Michelle Miller Jones. What's going on with the name thing? Did you have some big news in October?
I mean, maybe just, kind of like one of the biggest life-changing things you'll ever experience. I got married. So
you got married. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I married in end of September and spent the beginning of October on my honeymoon. So for now, my whole life, I've been Michelle Miller. Went from, I think, the 6th most common last name in the United States to the 5th. We'll moving. So that's why you see that little parentheses there with Miller. Get there that way people can still find me for now. Yeah. But it's Jones, Michelle Jones, moving forward. So yeah.
And this is because Damon, we've had total brutal names for this past month where I was practicing them for a week.
Yes.
And when I was preparing for Michelle, I was like, I think I know Miller and I think I know Jones. So this is the two of the easiest. So you didn't have my wife had a really goofy maiden name and she was so glad to have Anderson. So God bless you. Congratulations. How's the newlywed world treating you?
It's fun. It's an adventure. We did all the things you do. You read the books, you go to premarital counseling, you do all the things, and there's nothing diving right into it though. So it's fun. It's a journey, and it's an incredible blessing. So yeah, it's exciting.
Well, awesome. Well, let's take a deep dive. You are an inspirational entrepreneur. You have a great business that I want to dig into, and kind of lo and behold, dear to our heart for Damon and myself, we love connecting with folks in the manufacturing space. And you are just a relentless marketer for contractors, construction, roofers, all things manufacturing. So I want to talk a little bit about yourself today, because we're gonna go back in time, but share a little bit about your. What's the name of your business? I love the name of your business. Please share that with everybody.
Creativate. So that would have been the thing to pronounce. I guess if you had to pretend to pronounce, I had to create something a little bit more difficult since my name's so easy, I guess. But it's a blend of create, innovate, and cultivate, all smashed together into one word. So Creativate. So that's, I've been doing marketing consulting on the side for a couple of years now, which you really love when you're doing it for your full-time job, and then you're doing it for fun on the side as well. So when your main hustle and your side hustle are the same thing, it's all right, I'm definitely in my life calling, So that's what I do. So I made the leap, and my goal has always been to go out on my own. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, a family of manufacturers, and a family of really construction types of people. And so this has always been my goal. So it's really exciting to finally be living the thing that you've wanted to do your whole life. I don't think I'll ever be able to top 2021 with getting married and officially starting my business and all that in the same year. But yeah, let's go for it. Who knows what 2022 holds?
That's right. Just throw caution to the wind. And I want to give a huge shout out our dear friend. So Damon, we love Jeff Long, who's down in Dayton, Ohio, of course. Maybe he's a Bengals fan. He might be excited today. So Jeff Long made this connection with myself and Michelle. And again, Michelle, boy, we just instantly hit it off on the phone, had great conversation right around that wedding honeymoon time. And so I want to take let's go a little bit backwards. So MBA from Case Western. So folks outside of Cleveland or Ohio, Case Western, elite college, one of the top colleges in the country, great business school. So MBA from Case Western. You've done nonprofit work. You worked at a hospital. You've had a nice little career. Siemens, I believe you worked at Siemens Corporation. So talk a little bit about your path from from college on, and how, like, what tugged you into marketing, and then you have a great family story. I'm gonna save that for a minute. Let's talk about you moving forward, and then we'll go take a road trip back to your folks and their business.
Sure. So yeah, college on, I knew, well, initially, even before college, I thought I wanted to go into the medical field. So I looked at nuclear medical technology.
Mhm.
And then I realized that for someone, I don't like rules. I don't like, like super routine day-to-day stuff. And that's kind of what it would have been. So I look back to my roots and what I was naturally drawn to, and it was more of the creative side of things. And it was more of the business side of things. So marketing was a great fit for me. Graduated in, I think, the second worst year to graduate, 2010, with my marketing degree. But the power of networking has really been heavy on my mind, I guess, recently. I was at a networking session yesterday. And through my networking, I was able to land my first job. And it was actually created for me through Alliance Community Hospital, which is a small hospital in Northeast Ohio. But the CEO liked me, my ambition, and created the role. So that was really how I got started. So I'm really big on networking, and I'm really big on giving back and helping to get others started with their careers, since I feel so blessed to have had someone invest in me in that way. And I've been really blessed to have a lot of fantastic mentors throughout my career who, are lifting me up and lifting others up. So definitely paying it forward is really important. And then decided Northeast Ohio and pivot and go to Washington, D.C. and work in government relations, where I advocated for small and women-owned businesses. And so what's funny is one of my clients was women construction owners and executives, which, if you want to talk about a group of bulldogs, that's bulldogs. I mean, those women, they don't take crap from anyone. They so I did that for about a year, but politics wasn't really my thing. So I moved back to Ohio, and I think I'm probably one of the last people in the millennial generation to claim that they got a job through a classified ad. Saw an ad in the paper for this local company called
School.
Didn't know what they did. Started my job, still didn't really know what they did. But I knew they were in manufacturing. So they make high performance industrial coated fabric. So a lot of roofing membranes, geomembranes, architectural fabrics, military fabrics, you name it. It's all kinds of really high performance industrial fabrics. And so that's really where I really cut my teeth on a lot of the B2B marketing chops and skills that I have now. And simultaneously went and got my MBA at Case Western at the same time, as I was promoted from marketing specialist up to running the marketing department for a few years. And then built that, and then got recruited to go work for an industrial pump manufacturer. It's a division of a $1.2 billion company called IDEX, and they're called Warren Rupp. And I was there for about 2 years, and then I spent some time in Columbus building another small marketing team for a company that makes enclosures for HVAC units that go up on rooftops. And then got engaged and had to make the decision between a fiance or moving to Columbus, Ohio, which was about an hour and a half from where I was. I picked love, but actually, no, I picked that and my future. It just all. I've heard a quote about when you get into the flow of things, like what you're supposed to be doing, doors start to open and things just happen. So it was the right time to make the leap, and my fiance at the time was incredibly supportive, and so here we are, 9 months later.
That is. Man, there's just so much uncover right there. So Michelle, what I absolutely, and you know what, WOWZER's just, you jump on 71 and you're right in Columbus, right downtown in no time at all. So short, in marriage, best decision you ever make, so we are thrilled. We are excited. Congratulations. Great career, great choices that you've made. Now, what was that major again? The nuclear medical, what was that again?
Nuclear medical technology. It's like tests and stuff like that in the hospital.
Yeah. And what a crazy coincidence. Damon and I, we were going to do the same thing, but we couldn't spell nuclear, so we skipped it and we went in a different direction. So Damon, you know what? So what a coincidence. We were all going to go that direction, but so just kidding. Right. I've never heard of it. So, all right, Michelle, you have, manufacturing, entrepreneurship runs in your veins. You just can't even help yourself. You have an awesome story about mom and dad. Could you please share a little bit? What's going on with mom and dad in their entrepreneurial, in their past?
Well, I am who I am because of my parents, and I am unbelievably blessed to have the parents that I have. So Gary and Victoria Miller, also easy to spell and pronounce names, I'm living close to my hometown. And my dad and my mom have high school diplomas, and they have a mindset of continuous improvement. They're hustlers. They're always like figuring out another way to do things or do things better. Growing up around dinner, we always had all these business ideas bounced around at the dinner table. We talked about work. My dad bought a wholesale millwork business in 99 or 2000, and grew it. And then unfortunately, when the economic crash of 2008 happened, a lot of his business was going into construction types of materials and products and projects, which just took a nosedive. I think their business dropped something like 70%, and they went from 10 full-time employees to a small handful. Yep. They really felt the effects hard of that crash. And so my dad, he's an engineer by trade. Like the school of hard knocks makes him like the best engineer in the world. So he was looking at all this sawdust that they were creating as a byproduct, and that he was paying to have someone take away. And so he said, well, what can I do with this? I need to be doing something with this. So he figured out that you can take sawdust, pure sawdust, and compress it into blocks that you can burn as a heat source or firewood replacement in chimneys and fireplaces and campfires. You can use it for home heating. So he spent a few years tinkering with this, figuring out what's the right blend of pulp and wood so it compresses the right way, so it has the optimum, most consistent burn. And eventually they ended up liquidating the whole side of the wholesale millwork business to pursue this full time. So during that time period, though, when my dad was doing all this development, my mom had gone to work for an insurance company, and my mom and dad have always worked together. So she came back and did sales and marketing, and she's truly an inspiration. She figured out how to do everything. She'd always done the bookkeeping, but the sales and the marketing side, she figured it all out. She now coordinates all the shipping. She figured out how to get into Ace Hardware. She went to Ace Hardware Corporate without a buyer, without anyone representing her. Yeah. Went out, got the account. You can now buy their product at Ace Hardware's.
Wow.
They're in, I think, all the distribution centers. So all the stores have the option to stock their products. And yeah, they sell all over the place, all over the United States, and they get requests for international. They sell to restaurants, actually really love their products, like the wood-fired pizza places, because they don't get all the creosote and all the ash and all that, and it burns very consistently.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, my mom and dad, they work together. They're best friends. They enjoy spending all their free time together. They're wonderful, wonderful people, and they have a wonderful. It's like the American dream type of story, right? You start with something that's kind of nothing, and you turn it into something amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
that's cool.
Damon, really cool. I knew you were going to love this story, man. Michelle, when you told me that story, I was just on fire of just what an inspiration. And look at several things there. You know, when you think of entrepreneurship, like the true mom and pop, and here's a mom and pop where, like, you know, best friends, head over heels in love with each other, and just fierce entrepreneurs, manufacturers. You know, little thing happened 2 years ago. I don't know if you guys heard about this little COVID pandemic thing, kind of like turned everybody's lives upside down. 2008, your mom and dad get, Gary and Victoria, was it? Is that what you said? Gary and Victoria, they get hit with, just like the rest of us, 2008, not a pretty time. And what do? Instead of like, oh, woe is me, we wait this out. No, they take a great pivot, and mom gets into Ace Hardware, guys. So again, man, if you're not inspired by that, then I don't know what we need to do today, but that is a great story. And it's wonderful to hear your when you just see how you light up talking about mom and dad. So I love, like, on your LinkedIn profile, and I know when you and I spoke, you have a bunch of great quotes, and I want to get into your marketing process on how you work with manufacturers. Michelle, when I say this phrase, this is how we've always done it, what's your response to that?
Like, well, then that's why we need to break it.
Yeah, that's why we need to break it, right? Because a pandemic might come along, 2008 might come along, but take a little deep dive, and not necessarily, and we're not being critical, because, God bless us, like entrepreneurs, we're a little bit stubborn, do things, we figure out it works, and hey, let's keep running with it. But when you hear that, how do you tactfully, or how do you approach your clients? I'm like, hey, could we see a different way? Could we take a different approach? But when you hear that response, share a little bit of like your insight, or how do you tackle that?
I mean, if we go back to the examples and the parallels between 2008 and what happened with the COVID pandemic, especially as it affected manufacturing,
Yeah.
We saw some manufacturers kind of shelter in place, hunker down, and just kind of like keep the lights on. And but then we saw so much innovation, and I think if we're not done with the pandemic yet, but I believe we're on the tail end of it, hopefully. But if you look back, and the manufacturers that have really adopted and adapted super well, they've become flexible, they've become agile, they've released new products, they've gotten into new businesses. I'm sure you guys have heard all kinds of really cool stories, as have I, about manufacturers who took their products and they use them in different ways. I was actually at Warren Rupp and IDEX when this happened, and we stayed open because we were an essential business. So many of our products went into food processing, manufacturing of hand sanitizer, all that stuff. And we had another business unit that actually developed the spray system to quickly sanitize a hotel, or not a hotel, a hospital. And it took off like that. And they pivoted their whole focus towards that, and they made it happen. So when I hear clients, they're like, well, we've always done it that way. I'm like, well, if you do it the way you've always done it, you'll get what you always got. So, why am I here? We're here because we want to grow. We want to shake things up, whether it's we want to deepen customer relationships, we want to acquire new customers, whatever it is. If we keep doing it with the same mindset, processes, materials, we're not going to get different results.
Yeah. Yep. And it's so true in that, because, you're going to get what you're going to get. And I think a lot of people don't realize too, on the other side of this, is that they're losing business now because they're not adapting. Mm-hmm. And they just see it moves in little teeny increments. And over time that builds up, and their competitors that are not standing still, waiting to be able to do whatever face-to-face or however they sold before, they're really taking the lead on some of these things. And like you said, you saw people pivoting, you saw people looking at different ways to connect with their customers, potential customers, and really move forward. And other people are like, well, we're going to hunker down and wait. And when we can get back out, we'll start talking to people. And it may never happen the same.
No, and I think it affects not only just the materials or the services that are produced or the products, it affects the mindset too of, we look at labor. Like, labor is such an issue right now within the entire space. And so the companies that have been able to say, you know what, we can be flexible, or we can work with you on this, or the ones that are able to do that are also the ones that win. So it affects how you treat your customers. It affects products that come out. It affects retention, employee retention. So I work with a business coach. So shout out to Christine Hockman, because she's awesome. But she named her business 1 Degree Shifts. And it's because these stories, these incredible stories that we hear of these huge radical pivots, like I just mentioned, they're awesome, but they're definitely the exception. They're not the norm. It's those tiny things that you do every day.
Yeah.
1 degree at a time that change the entire trajectory of where your ship is headed. And I think that's really
exactly, because it's not big, huge things you have to do. It's little improvements every day to keep moving towards the end goal.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Damon, and ironically, we've had a couple of guests where they preach about like the 1% better every day. And you hear that it's common in motivation books. I personally have never heard the 1 degree, and I love that, Michelle. Man, this is fire. I knew this was going to be good. This is so good. So Michelle, it's when you hear about your folks, it's you're dedicated to continuous improvement, dedicated to change, marketing acumen, so on and so forth. So let's do a little role play. Okay. So Damon and I don't know if you noticed, we're not so young anymore, right? Well, Damon is, but I'm not. So you encounter a couple entrepreneurs who are, we're Gen X, we're digital immigrants, we're older, crusty, we've kind of done it this way, So let's take a deep dive into the marketing for manufacturing scope. Okay. So you encounter a couple of dudes like us, and you're feeling a little resistant on like, I don't like social media. People are posting what they had for dessert on Facebook and Talk a little bit about our relationship right here alone. Damon and I are through LinkedIn. Talk about, so for folks out there a little bit resistant, share how do you tackle that, and what advice do you have for people on how to better network market themselves through social?
Through social specifically?
Or just just in general, just online, internet marketing, however you want it, whatever direction you want to go, you take the ball and run with it.
I've definitely experienced this in a very personal level within my career, within companies that have been they've just been very resistant to it. And I tried different things. So this is coming from experience. You know, you can try to make them think it's their idea. It's obviously they're on Facebook, they're not on Instagram. Like they're not never going to convince them that it's their idea. I mean, never say never, but rarely you will convince them that. The thing that I've found has worked for me is to say, just what do we have to lose? You know, we can sit here and we can analyze all of these things that could go wrong, but what about all the things that could go right? So let's test it. Let's trial run it. Let's give me 30 days and you can approve. If it's social media, for example, I will give you a bucket of posts and you can pre-approve all of them. We can meet weekly. I can let you know what's going on. But this is something that I am willing to stake my reputation, my career, whatever on, because I believe so strongly in it. The other really cool thing that we have as marketers that we have never had before in the last, until the last decade is data. We have data actually drive our decisions now across every platform. And the data is getting so much more robust with all the different Google tags and all the integrations that you can do between different platforms. So you can actually start to connect these dots, whereas before you could never connect a billboard. That's maybe someone called us because they saw our name on a billboard, but also that's not really where our target persona hangs out. So we get super, super granular and super pointed with, hey, here's where our exact ideal customer hangs out. Here are the things that we need to do if you create a customer persona, for example. One of those things based on this persona, which if Damon and Curt disagree, and I'm showing you this evidence, here's our persona that we all agreed on. Well, this persona hangs out on LinkedIn. They're very on LinkedIn. So rather than trying to hit them with a direct mailer or do a paid ad or something and hope they see it, let's go directly to where they hang out and let's speak to them in their language. So I know that's a lot of different things kind of all.
That was perfect.
But really, hopefully there's if anyone out there is struggling with this right now, hopefully one of those nuggets will be useful to you in some way. And if something doesn't work, try another method, but I'm also a little bit relentless. So I'm very persistent. So if someone is not in favor of something and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's the right thing, I double down on it. It's something that needs to be done.
That is perfect. So, hey, and John dropped a hello. Hello, John. Happy Monday to you. So, Michelle, let's do this. We'll flip the script a little bit. So, thank you. So, guys, look what we're talking here. So, inspiration, entrepreneurship runs in Michelle's blood. Heavy duty on targeting manufacturers, contractors, construction, roofers, you name it. She's passionately going after it. So I'm just doing a little bit of role play, maybe playing a little bit of devil's advocate of like targeting a different generation. Let's talk about the folks, like someone's listening to this right now. They are head over heels in love with Michelle. Man, we need some Michelle on our team. And so there is no resistance. They are just ready to rock and roll. Talk a little bit about your company. And I love how we're going to dig into persona, posts, so on and so forth. So folks that are raising their hand saying, Michelle, please help me. Let's take it. Let's go. Let's keep running with this ball right now. So walk us through your process and how you help folks and how you make them look like rock stars.
Well, first of all, if that's the point you've gotten to, I applaud you 100% because even just recognizing that you need to be doing something differently, especially within your marketing, is a huge first step. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. So in my case, if I have someone come to me and say that, and let's say they're a manufacturer, I like to sit down with them and talk through their goals. Tell me about your business. Tell me about the background. Tell me about the history. What does your customer base look like? How many customers do they have? How often do they order? What's the average size of the order? I mean, we go through, it's all about you. I want to learn as much about, it's kind of like a date, right? I want to learn as much about you as I possibly can. And then what I do is if there's no plan in place or not a lot's been done, or it's one of those situations where it's, Michelle, I know we need to be doing something, but I don't know what. I take all of that information, especially what your growth goals are, which markets you'd like to target, which products you'd like to see additional growth in. And I build marketing around those. So I don't have a checklist of like, every every potential client I work with is exactly the same and gets the same. Everything is very, very custom for you and what your specific goals are. I have some clients that they want to deepen their customer relationships. They know they can grow their business just by engaging with their existing client base already. So that's your goal. We're not going to go out and start randomly doing Google paid ads. We have a group of knowns. You know who your people are. You know where your business is coming from. On the flip side of that, if you're, hey, Michelle, we have this awesome product and we want to get it out to the world, or hey, we just want to see our business grow and we need to identify more prospects, you have a bucket of unknowns. So we got to find those unknowns and we got to find knowns. So there's different strategies that you'd put in place to do that. And so then I love putting together these plans because they're so custom and they're so specific to each person and to each client. And so, and then we work together, and sometimes it's me overseeing and making recommendations on different vendors. I have my approved network of vendors that I personally have worked with as a client with them before. And I brought them along with me. So whether it's graphic design folks or search engine optimization or whatever, cherry pick then who you work with, and you work with the best of the best.
Yeah.
And you don't have to get, you're not getting a typical agency where you're paying for all these things you don't need. Yeah. It's very specific and very targeted. So that's how my business is structured. And that's, it's been a lot of fun that way, actually, because it's rather than just doing a lot of things and hoping for results, it's a very targeted, Curt, we talked about niching and then niching down again. It's from a client perspective.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that. And that's how we set our business up at Exit Your Way, as we have tons of specialists that we work with, because you just don't know what every business situation is unique. And you have to be able to adapt to the unique situations rather than trying to fit that situation into your agency model. Right. I really think that's a definite downfall of the agency model, is like, we need something different and custom for us. And it might be a little bit, it might be a lot, but you can bring the right pieces together.
There's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
When I worked for manufacturers, I would have other vice presidents or leadership team members coming to me and saying, hey, our competitors are doing this, or hey, so-so is doing that. Why aren't we doing that? And I'd say, because we're not them. Like, they don't know what their goals are. That's, you can't compare, you can't different people and expect to get the same outcome.
Yeah.
Comparisonitis. It's an awful disease, right, David?
It is. So I was thinking about, and I'm a business nerd, I'll just say that right out.
Love it.
Over the weekend, I was thinking about this. Do you think that marketing has really become a part of sales because it is so necessary?
Marketing?
Yeah.
That term? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, people call it marketing, but I'm just saying a lot of people think of marketing as optional. And I'm thinking, and I was thinking of it in the context of successful companies don't view marketing as optional. They view it as part of the sales process. Yes, it's not the same thing, but it is necessary if we really want to grow like we want to grow.
Yeah. And that's why terms like sales enablement are out there. And that's why it's a huge part of marketing, account-based marketing. One of my colleague, Dave Loomis, wrote a book called Marketing is Everything We Do. And it's so true, because it is. It's whether you intentionally put energy into your brand or not, that's still your brand. So I'm actually in New Orleans right now at the International Roofing Expo. And yesterday was National Women in Roofing Day. So shout out to all my women roofers out there. But I was talking to one of a very large roofing company, actually. And for years, they didn't have a logo. They didn't have a brand. They didn't have any of those things. And we were just talking about how even your no brand is still a brand, right? Like it's still, when I define marketing, it's literally from before someone hears about you and the first encounter they have, all the way through finding your people that are your advocates and your ride or your die clients. They would, they support you, not only support you, they refer you. Marketing is everything in there, because it's brand, it's sales management, it's literature, it's materials, it's stuff like that. But it's all those softer touch points too that make a big difference, and how you find your voice and how you talk about yourself. So whether that's a sales pitch or it's the recording on the phone or it's the automated emails that go out, your brand is everything, and brand aligns with marketing. So yeah, if a company isn't embracing marketing, I mean, they're kind of their loss, but I guess you'd expect a marketer to say that.
Right. Man.
I was thinking of that from a practical standpoint, though. I mean, I don't know how you're going to compete long-term over the next, say, 10 years without some sort of marketing. And like you said, everything is marketing. And I just I don't see it in many businesses being able to survive long-term if you're not.
Yeah. And I think we're at a really pivotal point here too. I mean, we are right at the cusp of, I've heard so many conversations, and I know, Curt, this is also kind of your specialty, e-commerce for B2B. It hasn't been completely figured out yet. There's a lot of different models. There's a lot of different vendors that are getting into it. There's a lot of businesses that are exploring it. So if you're already behind right now on your business model, you're still keeping, writing notes. I mean, nothing against paper. I love handwriting notes. But if your CRM, for example, is still in an Excel sheet and still like making copies of things, you're a little behind right now. Once businesses figure out how to do B2B e-commerce, the ship's going to sail and you're going to be back at the port. I mean, it's just so right now, I think is a really pivotal time to make sure that if the manufacturers actually get up to speed and start to embrace the digital revolution or whatever you want to call it, but really start to embrace how these tools, they're not another burden. If they're used properly and you get the right tools, they can really, really power your business and help you grow.
Yeah.
We need a my God, this was so good, man. I have to recap a couple of things here, Michelle. So first off, Damon, we're going to get t-shirts that are made that say, what could go right? What an absolute half full positive outlook. What a great way to spin that, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen? Right. What could go right? I just love that, Michelle. Drop the mic on that one. You had, no brand is a brand.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, Damon, we do this, it's lunchtime in the East Coast here. Savor it. Let's take a moment of silence to savor that one. No brand is a brand by Michelle Miller Jones. What a great, so and that's, as marketers, it's so easy for us. I hope I never come across like I'm pointing fingers, because like, say if I had a persona, an avatar who's trying to find me on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram, I'm not on those places. I'm probably missing an enormous amount of business by not being there, but I would have a really bad presence there. So, but my point with this, no brand is a brand, Michelle. If you have a website from 2005, if you are neglecting your website, I see all sorts of websites that don't have an SSL certificate. They still are showing Google Plus. Google Plus went out of business in 2018 or something like that. Yeah. If you are showing yourself dated, that is your brand. I know we're running over time, but that was, man, kudos to you for that. Stuff. That was so good.
Thanks. I know. I feel like we could talk hours about all this.
Yeah, we could talk all of it. So let me hit you with a couple things, because I know, man, you're down in New Orleans, you're down in the Big East, and you're stuck talking to me and Damon here. So we need to get you on. We need to get you over to.
I just gotta say something. If you're in World War II, if you like any of that, go to that museum. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
The reception there tonight that I'm going to.
Oh God, yeah. It's incredible.
Just make us more jealous, Michelle. So thank you.
No doubt.
She's oh my goodness. All right. What we're going to wrap up on is a couple things. What is Roofers Coffee Shop? Roofers Coffee Shop. Please enlighten us.
Yes, Roofers Coffee Shop is a fantastic community. It's a community basically for roofers to discuss all types of business issues, from hiring to succession planning to marketing to whatever it is. But it's a place to connect. Manufacturers get engaged, consultants get engaged. It's owned by a dear friend of mine, Heidi Ellsworth, who is another amazing woman advocate in roofing. And she's really grown it over the last 5-10 years, but it's a great place to be. So, so I do a little writing occasionally for them.
Nice.
That is awesome. So in Glamis, Damon, our bestie Glamis, she's in Manhattan. She is a fierce woman, female entrepreneur. Michelle, she's with the Small Business Development Center at Columbia University. Year in, year out, she's always voted like top advisor of New York State. So Glamis, my heart, you know where my heart is. It always goes out to you. Thank you for joining us today. Michelle, Damon knows this. I'm a huge dog lover. I have my big Rottweilers usually laying next to me, snoring and like disrupting my programs. What is Big Woof Treats, for goodness sake?
Yeah.
Big Woof Treats is a pandemic baby. I got restless during the pandemic from sitting at home on my computer. I love talking with people. I love engaging with people. My now husband and I were going through the drive-through at Dairy Queen, and every other car had a dog in it. And I bet getting ice cream for your dogs, and the dogs are going to eat it, and all that cream and all that sugar and all that dairy is not good for dogs. So I said, are there dog-friendly ice creams out there? And there's some like super, super processed, really, really by like PetSmart or Petco. That really a good alternative for dogs. So I started looking into the ingredients, and I created this formulation with pumpkin, coconut milk, and peanut butter. And I roasted the pumpkins myself, got them from a local pumpkin farmer, and started just setting up shop at farmers markets and dog events. I connected with a local vineyard that has pups on the patio on Tuesday night.
Oh, wow.
I would go set up shop there and serve up little dog treats. And unfortunately, I had to put Big Woof on hiatus last year with, planning a wedding, launching all that stuff. But yeah, I'm looking at different, I've gotten the itch again to keep going with it and get some different formulations. At one point I made little pumpkin pies. So they were little pumpkin pies, but for pups. So I can resurrect Big Woof here in the near future.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, I absolutely love that. So Michelle, I know you're busy. We're going to wind down on this. Parting thoughts to share with anybody for 2022. What advice do you have for anybody going out there, just, trying to make this pivot, trying to make a deep change? What advice do you have for everybody as our takeaway today?
Just get started. You can create the most grand plan in the world, and if it's sitting there on paper, it doesn't do you an ounce of good. Make that post, change that piece of literature, update that one page on your website. Just do one thing.
Going.
That's
1 degree better. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be daunting. Like, we're not saying, hey, scrap your Excel spreadsheet or, so on and so forth. But boy, just start taking those little steps 1 degree at a time. Michelle, this was better than expected. I know, it was like, man, we just hit it off our first conversation. We're like, just Damon, we were just on fire. We were like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? And we're connecting each other with people, Allison DeFord, Lori Hybe, a bunch of great people that we would love for you to connect with. So Michelle, thank you. And Damon, I have a new line. Dan Bigger gave me a new line. He's always crushing it. I'm not a Gary Vee guy. So here's the new hashtag for today, Michelle. Consider it crushed.
Consider it crushed.
And you just, if we are talking past tense, you just absolutely crushed it today. So thank you guys. Again, takeaways. No brand is a brand. What could go right? This is how we've always done it. Please don't ever say those words, especially if Michelle's in the house, because it's not going to be pretty, right, Michelle?
Yeah.
So, hey, we send our best to mom and dad. We send our best to your husband. Everybody down at Big Easy, get some great food down there while you're hanging out. Damon, take it away, brother. What an awesome way to start the week, huh?
Yeah, thanks, Curt. So we're out. Have a good one.
We're out. I'm closing out the broadcast. Hang out with us 1 second, Michelle. Guys, have a fantastic Monday. And this Friday, Damon, we have the manufacturing millennial. We have Jake Hall on our Friday program. So we'll see you guys back this Friday. So
awesome.
Have a great day, guys.
Thanks so much.